Hey, everybody, it's Jess Buchanan, and I am so excited to be starting this Deserts to Mountaintops podcast series. And we are going to be talking about our choosing our healing through radical self acceptance. And one by one, I get to talk with all of the contributing authors of this amazing project that came out on January 25th, 2024. And I am so stoked to be in the presence of Julie Larkins. She is just an energy of light and love, and she just exudes acceptance. She is totally what this project is about. I'm just so happy to welcome you today, Julie. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
So, I mean, I always say this about you, but like I take one look at you and I'm always struck by like your cool hair and your tattoos. And I know like it's not all about what's on the outside, but you totally have this look of self-acceptance. How does that make you feel when someone says that to you?
I love it. Um, someone was staring at my tattoo and they asked me, like, oh, do you mind that I stare? And I say, no, I like to put my inside on the outside.
Oh, I love that. Ooh, I just got chills.
Yeah.
What's a way to reframe that?
Yeah. It's funny because, you can look at somebody and you can get an idea of who they are.
Mhm.
Um, and when you look at me, my hope is that somebody sees me and they say, oh my gosh, this chick is being exactly who she wants to be. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do
So so do you feel like the way you look on the outside is an invitation to other people to also connect with you in themselves?
Yes. I think when people see me, they're either one, they're completely turned off. And I think it's because they're not willing to love all of the parts of themselves.
Does that happen?
It does happen. Some people do not like what is going on here. But that's okay. Everybody is
Yeah.
at different stages of their healing and
Yeah.
different stages of their life. And then other people will come up to me and they'll say, oh my gosh, I love that you do this with your hair. I wish I could do that.
Mm.
If I had $1 for every time somebody said something like that to me, I would have a lot of money. Um, I tell
What do
them
you
you
say to
can,
them then? Yeah, like
you
when someone
can.
says, yeah.
It wasn't until my 40s that I got my tattoo and, my late 30s that I did my hair like this. But, you know, for a long time I hid who I was.
Mhm.
There was this feeling that who I was not good enough. Who I was
Mhm.
not enough. Who I was not perfect. And so if I couldn't be perfect, then, you know, I didn't wanna exist or be, called out.
Mhm. Where do you think that idea or that need to be perfect stems from?
I think we all have something in our lives that we've encountered. A lot of people, I think it's social media and, the programming of, when I was growing up, magazines and, Victoria's Secret models and, you see all of
Mm.
stuff and what you're supposed to look like. And I never matched that.
Mhm.
I never matched it. And so I felt invalid for never matching that. And I also felt
Mm.
invalid because the way that I grew up, I wasn't really recognized or treated in a way that I was special or unique or important. And so I can see a lot of people could be in this space of feeling like you can't be your authentic self because there are so many different constraints that life brings to you that says you're not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the word invalid when you use it in this context. I feel like that holds a multitude of, like, emotions and meaning. Like, it's a word with a lot of depth, I think, when you use it in this context. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, there's this desire for all of us to feel like we can exist in this world in a way that feels good. Um, but we run into things that make us feel like that's something that we fall short of. And so every time we feel like we fall short, there's this invalidation,
Mhm.
and it's internal and sometimes it's external. You don't meet the criteria of this. You won't get this job because you are a mom, or,
Mhm.
I don't want to seat you in my restaurant because of why, all
Mhm.
different reasons for things that, we come into contact with. And, there's this invalidation immediately. And sometimes it's our programming, what we've been telling ourselves for so long, I'm invalid. I don't matter. Who I am isn't important, and we feel invalid.
So let's talk. Thank you for um explaining that a little bit more, but let's talk a bit about, let's go back a few years to when you were at maybe the in the desert of invalidity. I don't even know if that's a word, but um it is now. So let's talk about let's talk about that and how you've climbed, what you've done to climb to the mountaintop of validating yourself and only by you and only you.
Yeah. So, we all have our deserts, and, mine I get to outline in this chapter.
Mhm.
And, there are a lot of themes of my invalidness. One, didn't feel comfortable to express my emotions. And so one of the things that I did to sort of stifle that was I binge ate, or I starved
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to, you know, meet that look that, we're all supposed to have. And so,
Mhm.
um, you know, whether it was keeping my emotions at bay or trying to keep my body in a place where it's supposed to look the way that it's supposed to look, I was, I never felt good. I never felt worthy. I never felt important. Um, I eventually became 300 pounds, and I was invisible.
Mhm.
I was invisible. I was invalid.
Mhm.
Who I was and the way that I existed was invalid.
Mhm.
And the thing is, I didn't realize that until I had weight loss surgery and all the weight came off, and I experienced life in a different way where people actually saw me again,
Mhm.
that I realized I was swimming in this invalidness without even knowing it, but I felt
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
So for so long, I didn't feel like I was worthy of anything. I ate to cover everything up. I suffered from mental illness.
Mhm.
Um, and people with mental illness in this, society, super invalid,
For sure.
goodness gracious, God forbid, you're not doing so well.
Right.
Uh, there's a
Well,
sense of
it's an inconvenience, right?
it's such an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
wants to talk about it or touch it.
No. Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
so, you exist the best way that you can, but people see you and what you have going on as, you know, something they don't want to deal with.
Mhm. Right. It's your problem.
Yeah. And it was my problem, but it was also everyone around me's
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of these things culminated to a point where, I just really didn't like myself. My inner self-talk had gotten me to a place where I just really hated me. There wasn't anything about me that I liked, whether it was, my personality or it was my body. I didn't like any of it, like my little flabbies,
Mm.
which I love very much because these arms allow me to hug people, and that's my
Mhm.
favorite.
And you are a giver of great hugs, that's for sure.
That's my favorite.
Do you
So
feel like that changed though after the weight loss surgery? Were you able to validate yourself a little bit more?
there was this beautiful external validation that I felt. Um, and it wasn't until later that I realized how hollow it was,
Mm,
because needing the validation of other people means that my self-worth is dependent upon that validation.
yeah.
So,
A friend of mine calls that the hungry ghost.
and everybody's hungry for it.
Yeah. But
Everybody
it's
wants it.
insatiable, like you'll never get filled up.
Yeah. And so, at some point you have to stop I don't want to say caring, but stop caring about what everyone else's perception of you is. Sort of throw it
Mm,
out the window and start paying attention to who you are and whether you like yourself.
mhm,
Whether the person that, lives in the skin that you're in wants to be a happy person, wants to be a productive person, wants to be somebody who's willing to like dive into the shadows of who they are so that they can come out and love themselves. Um, you know, but you know, it's not an easy task. And I think everyone, no matter where they are in their journey, struggles with that at some point in time, is
mhm,
feeling like other people's opinion of them does not matter and that who they are is intrinsically whole and perfect exactly as
mhm.
they exist.
So how did you get to that point then? Would you say that you're at that point where you feel like you are perfect?
I know that I'm whole.
Mm. Talk about that more, please.
So, you know, I'm getting older and my face is changing. And I took a reel the other day and I could see like the jowls.
Uh-huh. Oh,
It
yeah, I
was,
get those.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was bad lighting.
Uh-huh.
It was really bad lighting. But, you know, I struggle every day to choose me
Mm.
because I'm the only person that is tasked with loving me. And so,
Wait a second, hold on, I need to hang out there for a second. That is so profound. You say talk about that some more.
no one else in this world is obligated to love me.
Mm,
I can want them to love me. I can
mhm,
deeply want them to love me.
mhm,
My family, my friends, people like you that I value.
mhm,
I want you to love me, but the thing is that the only person that matters is that I love me, and if I don't love me, everyone else's love doesn't really matter because I can't even accept it because my bucket of love is not full enough
mhm.
for me to be able to receive it from other people.
Yeah. Mm,
I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for loving me. I'm responsible for healing me.
mhm.
Um, and I'm responsible for coming to the table every day and just trying, not succeeding, trying,
Right,
doing,
right.
existing the
Oh,
best I can.
I just love that idea of, like, the perfection versus the wholeness. We are being sold a bill of goods that just doesn't exist. And we don't know what it means to be whole, what it looks like. I mean, no, of course we don't know what it looks like because we're all running around like colanders, just like seeping, our energy and um our feelings about ourselves and each other just seeping out of us. So what has it been like for you to write about something so extremely personal, um, such as this? Even though you wear your insides on the outside, and I know you, so I know that you're extremely proficient and comfortable in talking about hard things. But what has it been like to go through a writing process like this?
I don't know that any person who dives into their story, and you know this,
Mhm.
as deeply as my fellow authors and myself, um, I don't think that they know what they're undertaking when they start.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of healing. I help other people heal.
Yeah.
So, I'm constantly in a state of healing. And I thought I had taken care of a bunch of stuff. Neatly packed away. I'd like pulled it out and like, oh, you're wonderful. It's okay that this happened. And then all of a sudden I started writing and I'm sitting at my computer sobbing. And my husband's like, oh my
Mm.
God, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm writing about something that's really sad.
Mm.
And so I re-engaged in therapy
Mm.
because, I started to realize how young I was when my eating issues started,
Yeah.
how I felt like, I didn't exist in my house because I had a sibling that was special needs.
Yeah.
I started to realize that, all of these things that I thought I had taken care of, I thought I had healed, I hadn't even remotely touched.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it was the worst and the best thing that's ever happened to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
hands
Yeah.
down.
Mm. I just keep picturing that mountaintop looking like wholeness.
We're told that we're not whole.
Mm.
The thing is that we're walking around believing that there are pieces of us missing.
Mm.
And the thing is that we're whole and we can't even see it. We
Mm.
can't see the beauty that exists within us because somebody else told us that it's not there.
Mm.
Yet when we take time to really go inward and travel that desert that, sometimes really sucks, and you start
Mhm.
investigating all of this stuff and you uncover that, oh my gosh, all this time I have been completely perfect and whole
Yeah.
and wonderful and fantastic.
Mm.
Nobody told me because
Mm.
people are constantly invalidating who you are.
Right. 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 So if I were to then presume, is that what you're hoping your reader will glean from your chapter?
Yes. My hope is that somebody will read my chapter and they will see this hellacious journey. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, they will cry probably, and they will see the desert. It's very prominent. And then they will see that everyone has an opportunity to make a shift, to make a change, to choose one day
Mhm.
that, okay, I'm finally going to sit here and I'm going to take responsibility for me and everything
Mhm.
that I've done and the way that I live in this world and how I've been talking to me.
Mm. Yes.
And I really hope that somebody comes across this chapter who struggles with their body and is comparing and is feeling like food is a crutch for feelings and that maybe their mental illness has really drugged them down and they feel like they can't get out. And then they read my chapter and they say, oh my gosh, this girl isn't perfect, but man, she lives a more fluid life than I do. And maybe I can surrender a little bit.
Mhm.
I can surrender
Well,
life.
it goes back to your hair. I wish I could do that. And you're like, actually, you can do all of it, right? It's
I want,
possible.
yeah, I mean, I want people, it's like moth to a flame. I want my energy to be such that when people come into contact with me, that they say, I want that. And I say, you can have it.
Mhm.
And I can also say, if you want to read this chapter of this book, you will see that my life has not been great.
Yeah.
Um, but we all have our journeys. And, you can't appreciate daytime without nighttime. You would never know what darkness feels like if it was always day.
Mhm.
So we go through all of these, crazy things. And then we come out the other side and we can turn around and say, man, like, look at who I am today because I've had a chance to see what
Yeah.
it feels like in the dark. And
Yeah.
so I've expanded the other way and said,
Mhm.
I am willing to experience joy and wholeness.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. So, what has been one thing that you have loved about this writing process? One thing that has surprised you? And then tell everybody what you do now and what your offerings are.
Sure. So what I loved working with you
Mm.
and all of the wonderful ladies that are contributing
Mhm.
to this anthology.
They really
Uh,
are. You're all incredible.
yeah. I mean, every single one of them has a beautiful story and
Mhm.
it is an incredible human being.
Mhm.
So that has been a great joy getting to know all of you. What has surprised me, um, that my luggage that I thought was zipped up was uh, like splayed across my room when I started writing.
It does that. This process does that. I mean, I often think sometimes I need to have like a therapist like on our team so that we have like on-site clinical care because, but fortunately, most of the writers that come to us are well versed in therapy and other types of modalities and support, but it cracks you wide open.
Wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And the cracks are where the light gets in.
Mm-hmm. You're just pure light, Julie. I'm so grateful that the universe put us on this part of our mountain climb together, because you are definitely a guide. We have like a couple minutes left. Can you tell everybody what it is, like, what do you do? Like what are your offerings and how do you serve?
So I have my company is called Revealing Colors because I believe everybody's colors deserve to be revealed, whether they're hidden or hiding. Um, and so I help people live more joyful lives. Um, I help people find magic in their
Yeah.
lives. I help people through the desert, and I help people on their way up the mountaintop. I call myself a Sherpa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the Sherpa for people who are trying to change their lives. They're in a place where I was, that their life was lackluster. It didn't feel good, but it didn't feel, you know, right. And things just didn't feel rewarding, or, you didn't hear the birds sing anymore. And so I help people through, I'm a Reiki master teacher. I do all sorts of healing modalities. I work in the Akashic records for past lives. I do light language, which is, healing for the soul. And, through all of these different modalities, I offer coaching to help people be magic,
Mm-hmm.
live magic, experience magic, be in a place of wonder where they live in each moment feeling a sense of gratefulness, not perfection, but they can feel whole as if they're operating in this world wholly, and they can be present wholly so that they can experience magic when it arises, because we forget and we
Yeah.
lose it sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I help people rediscover that, because it's there and it's ready for all of the people that want it.
Yeah. And I can attest to it that it Julie is magic. I'm telling you, I did an energy clearing with her over Zoom last week, and because I was in a bad way, everybody, I really needed some support, and I reached out to her last minute. I was like, I need some help. I'm feeling really bad. And it was so clearing. It was like the next Monday, I came back to my desk and I was like, I could work again. I could think again. I felt inspired again. Like it was like magic. It was better than any therapy session. Like it was just so profound. So I am so grateful to you for your time now. I am grateful to you for taking the brave step. It's an act of courage to share so deeply and so vulnerably. And I always say it's an act of generosity to do that. So I'm just so grateful that you're part of the Deserts to Mountaintops collective, sacred sisterhood, what have you. And I can't wait to see what's next for you.
I am so grateful and so humbled to be a part of this project. Thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to know more?
Ooh, revealingcolors.com, or you can find me on Instagram, Revealing Colors Official. And you can also find me on TikTok and Facebook. Pretty easy.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.